Welcome back to the Changeover, tennis family. We are coming to you live, powered by secondserveaces.com, the digital home for real, raw, tactical analysis. Today, we are dissecting the massive financial disparities of the tour, a stunning Cincinnati final, and a historic million-dollar mixed doubles triumph in New York. Joining me in the studio, as always, are the resident academic of the court, Julian Price.
Good day, Arthur. Glad to be here, though I must say the studio's air conditioning is currently defying all laws of thermodynamics.
It is indeed a frozen wasteland in here. And we also have our resident high-intensity training guru, the man who thinks a 5-set match is just a decent warm-up, Leo Sterling.
Good to be here, mate. And look, before we get into the heavy stuff, I brought some homemade protein bars. Real oats, raw honey, none of that processed garbage they sell at the player kiosks. Have some.
I will politely decline for now, Leo, as my digestive system is currently contemplating its own existential dread. But let's get right into the biggest story from the U.S. Open. Karolina Muchova and Jakub Mensik taking down Belinda Bencic and Flavio Cobolli 6-3, 1-6, and then 10 points to 6 in the match tiebreak.
A fascinating partnership, Arthur. Truly. The Czech connection. But what really stands out, besides the rather handsome $1 million paycheck, is the sheer tactical contrast of their opponents.
Oh, absolutely. You've got Cobolli, right? The guy is a human dynamo, just bouncing around the baseline, trying to rip every single forehand. But mixed doubles isn't about raw power, mate. It's about closing the net.
Exactly. And Muchova, watching her at the net is like watching a masterclass in geometry. She doesn't just hit volleys, she places them with a sort of poetic finality. In that first set, her positioning was impeccable.
Yes, but let us not overlook Mensik's role. At just 18, his serve and volley execution during the match tiebreak was remarkably mature. He wasn't just blasting serves, he was using the body serve to jam Cobolli, setting up Muchova for the easy put-away.
That's the grind, Julian. That's mental toughness. Bencic and Cobolli made a massive run in the second set, really pushed them back behind the baseline. But in that 10-point tiebreak, Muchova's hands didn't shake once.
It makes you wonder why more top-tier singles players don't enter the mixed draw, though of course, the physical toll is immense. Speaking of physical tolls, let's pivot to Cincinnati, where Coco Gauff just dismantled Jessica Pegula 6-2, 6-4 to take the title.
A masterclass in defensive transition, Arthur. Andy Roddick and Kim Clijsters were both singing her praises, and rightfully so. Her court coverage in that first set was, well, it was almost unfair.
Yeah, but look at the depth she was getting on her backhand, Julian. That's the real differentiator. In the past, Pegula could just camp on Gauff's forehand and wait for the error. But Coco was hitting her targets, keeping Pegula pinned deep.
Yes, the forehand. It held up under extreme pressure. There was this one rally in the second set, 4-3 deuce. Pegula hit a blistering inside-out forehand, and instead of just slicing it back, Gauff took it on the rise and whipped a cross-court forehand of her own. The sheer kinetic beauty of it.
Indeed. And if you want a deep dive into the underlying metrics of that match, how Gauff's lateral movement speed actually forced Pegula to overplay her lines, you must visit secondserveaces.com. Their AI-driven tactical analysis gives a level of depth you simply won't find anywhere else.
That's right. No fluff, just pure data and tennis grit. Now, speaking of grit, we have to talk about Mackenzie McDonald's comments on the financial realities of the tour. He really pulled back the curtain on the U.S. Open player pay structure.
It was a sobering read. McDonald essentially explained that for players outside the top 50, the first-round prize money isn't a luxury. It is a necessity to fund their entire season. It forces injured players onto the court.
It is a tragic paradox. A player is physically compromised, yet they must walk onto the court, essentially to perform a symbolic defeat, just to cash the check that pays for their coaching, travel, and physical therapy.
It's a broken system, mate. I am aware of guys on the road who couldn't afford a physiotherapist because they got knocked out in the qualifiers. If you're injured, you shouldn't be penalized for protecting your health. The slams have the money, they need to distribute it better.
It reduces the sport to a sort of existential transaction. The player sacrifices their physical well-being for financial survival. We need to look deeper into this, and we will. For the full breakdown of McDonald's statements and the financial metrics of the ATP Tour, make sure to visit secondserveaces.com. And that transition game is exactly what we're missing on these wet outer courts. Speaking of which, our coverage today is powered by secondserveaces.com. We're diving straight into the damp madness of Flushing Meadows, where the rain has completely halted play on Court 17.
Yes, my dispatch from the grounds was rather damp. Qin Wen-jeng and Elena Pridankina were just getting into a fascinating baseline rhythm before the heavens opened. It disrupts the entire psychological flow of a qualifying campaign.
Rain delays are where you find out who has the medal, Julian. You're sitting in a cramped locker room, eating cold pasta, waiting. It's a mental battle. By the way, try one of these protein flapjacks I baked, heavy on the oats.
Earthy, like a clay court in April. But look at Zheng. She's trying to establish herself, and this pause? It's like a comma in the middle of a feverish sentence. It forces you to contemplate your own tennis mortality.
Well, grammatically speaking, it's more of a semicolon. But the real story developing under the grey skies is the all-British clash, Heather Watson versus Harriet Dart. A final qualifying round with immense pressure.
Oh, that is going to be absolute war! Dart has that fiery defensive grit, but Watson has been on the tour forever. She knows how to manage her energy levels in these grueling three-setters.
It's a domestic drama played out on a global stage. They know each other's patterns so well. There are no secrets out there. Every second serve will be punished.
Indeed. If you look at the tactical breakdown on secondserveaces.com, which uses incredible AI-driven analysis to give real tactical depth beyond basic match stats, Dart's return positioning is going to be the key differentiator.
Exactly, Julian. Dart needs to step up and take the ball on the rise. If she lets Watson dictate with that heavy forehand, she's toast. Have another flapjack, Leo. You need the carbs.
I think you mean Arthur, Leo, but I will gladly take another. Now, what about this teenager, Julieta Pareja, 17 years old, facing Lucrezia Stefanini again?
A rematch of high intrigue. Stefanini is a crafty competitor, but Pareja has that youthful, unburdened fearlessness. The statistical models on the site actually favor the teenager's raw power on these fast, hard courts.
Power is great, but Stefanini is going to slice and dice. She will make the kid play extra balls. It's a classic test of maturity.
A test of patience in a world that demands instant gratification. To see the full statistical breakdowns and read Julian's excellent dispatches, make sure to head over to secondserveaces.com. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully with clearer skies.